Dear Lord, it's the Heat. I'm coming to you today humbly to ask you to please, please stop letting the Cowboys win. I know maybe I haven't always been the most faithful servant, but Lord, I really need this because these Cowboys fans, they're gonna ruin me. So if you could just find it in your omnipotence to grant me just a few losses, mainly, and not letting them get in the playoffs, Lord, then I will be eternally grateful, and maybe I won't sin that much anymore.
Holly, what you doing?
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you ready? Come
yeah, I'm ready.
What are you doing?
I was anyway. Welcome to the Hot Seat with Holly Heat. I'm your host, Holly Heat. Well, before we get into my thoughtful breakdown of the most compelling stories in sports, I have to take care of a little business. I lost my wager of the week. And this week, I am choosing the Bills-Vikings game. Now, there has been a lot of controversy about the legitimacy of the Vikings, and I'm going to say they're probably not the real deal, so I'm going to bet on the Bills to win. But with this season, it's a little bit unpredictable, so we'll see. Yes, the Bills let me down and lost to the Vikings, and then they subsequently choked in grand fashion against the Cowboys this past Sunday. Anyhow, I am a woman of my word, so I am here to pay my penalty. My team decided on this one viewer suggestion. Ooh, okay, that's tough. As most of you know, I'm a Dwayne Wade super fan, and nothing riles me up more than people that don't give him credit he deserves as one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. Nevertheless, nobody's perfect. I'm sure I could find some things I don't like about my fave, so here goes nothing.
Jermaine O'Neal got a piece of it. Wade! Oh, facial! Yes! Oh, Wade, what a play! Wow. Oh, wow! Harrington and
I mean, I hate how disrespectful these dunks were to his colleagues. I mean, almost as if he has no moral compass as it comes to the health and safety of others. I mean, that's super uncalled for. And here.
Not a good matchup right here for the Heat.
Summers, Wade with a steal, with two. Wade puts it up for the win.
Yes!
He did it! He did it! Dwayne Wade with the steal!
I mean, stealing the ball from your hometown team and scoring a game winner? Real classy, Dwayne. And the treachery continues. I mean, being a guard and blocking shots like he did.
Look out, Ademeyer on the pick and roll, blocked by Wade. It's as good if it goes. Yes! Oh!
Just greedy. And look at this.
5 seconds left. Waiters, back to Dwayne. Shoots. No, he couldn't get it off. Now fires it up. Bank it in! It counts! It counts! The Heat win the game! Dwayne Wade won it for Miami! 126 to 125.
I mean, now he's just doing circus tricks during a professional basketball game. Have some decorum. Well, I think that's all the hating I have in me, hopefully. He can find it in his heart to forgive me for these criticisms, D-Wade. You know how much I love you. Well, the NBA has spared no headlines as usual. One big story has been Laddergate, where NBA sweetheart Giannis was seen pushing over a ladder while he was trying to practice free throws after a loss to Philly where he shot poorly at the free throw line. But in true social media form, the ladder video circulated before we had the full story, which reminded me of a time I was unknowingly filmed and things were taken out of context. Indy, I hate you. Yeah, so that looks really bad, right? But then when you see the whole video, your perception might change. Indy, I hate you. Can't go to my my birthday trip with me to Jamaica so you can take my pictures for Instagram. See, you can make really anybody look bad if you don't get the full story. Mommy loves you, sweetie. No, I don't think so.
Wait, turn the camera back on me? Turn the camera back on me? Okay, there you go. We did. Wait, hold on. What you doing? Wait, put it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
In other NBA news, Kyrie is back. He apparently met all the conditions the Nets had in place and has rejoined his team, who was ranked 10th in the Eastern Conference. The Warriors are still struggling despite Steph Curry playing lights-out basketball. Rapper Lil Baby said last week that the player he most closely identifies with is the Grizzlies' Ja Morant. It got me thinking of what player I identify most with. Okay, I'm almost positive that's not who I was thinking of. In football news, not to be confused with World Cup football, the most nonsensical NFL season continues. If I had to sum up this season of football with one clip of football, it would be this.
Here's the wrong way.
Yeah, Baby Bosa needs to know which way to turn hand off.
The only thing I know for sure is Davis Mills is not our guy, Nick Caserio. Anyway, I have a great show for you today. My guest is yours truly, so let's get to the hot seat. Welcome to the hot seat with Holly Heat. I am your host, Holly Heat. Now, on social media, I often get into debates with some of my friends and followers. And so I brought up some topics that I've gotten into some heated debates with this past week. So I'm going to call this sort of my fans' pet peeves sort of segment, if you will. So as most of you know, Dwight Howard has signed a contract to play in Taiwan. And he's out there, he's already playing. We're getting like highlights on social media and, you know, it's a little bit polarizing. Now, if you remember, they made that top 75 list a few months back, and he was one of the players that got snubbed on that, along with a couple other players that people feel like should have been in the top 75. But he was one of the main ones being snubbed. And so, you know, I was looking at some social media material, and I noticed how people started saying how Kyle Kuzma is playing really well. You know, he's in Washington now, and when he was with the Lakers, he wasn't playing as well as he once had. And he's still pretty young, so it's not, you know, likely that they're saying, oh, you know, as you get older, your skill set declines or so forth. But, you know, so they're basically saying on social media that players like Dwight Howard and Kyle Kuzma are trash. Well, Dwight Howard is over in Taiwan. Now, mind you, the skill level, the talent over there is not that of the NBA, but he's having the time of his life. And he's having the time of his life because the fans are different. I mean, of course, you know, it's exciting to see some big NBA foreign player. He's going to get a lot of love over there. But American fans are assholes. And this is shown with my example of Kyle Kuzma. You talked a lot of mess about him, and now he starts to do kind of well over in Washington, albeit Washington. And now you're kind of like, oh, maybe he's not trash. And then some people still contend that he is trash, and Dwight Howard's trash, and, you know, Draymond Green's trash, Patrick Beverly's trash. But to make it to this level, this professional level, you are not trash. I mean, fair enough. Maybe you're not scoring points like that, you know, like Steph Curry. You're not scoring points. You're not like LeBron James, Giannis. But you still have a role. Whatever that role is, you were good enough at that role to make it to the NBA. So that's one of my huge pet peeves, is players being called trash by fans who may or may not have been involved in professional or sports at all. And you're just sitting there calling these people trash. They get paid a lot of money. I don't think they'd be getting paid as much money if they were actually trash. So that's kind of one of my fan pet peeves. And then I got into another spirited debate. I mean, with actually a best friend of mine, shout out to Ronnie. But he was talking about how well Steph Curry is playing. And of course, I mean, he's the greatest shooter of all time. The Warriors played the Rockets on this past Sunday night. And Clay was playing very well. I do enjoy Clay. I enjoyed him more when he was more of a two-way player. You know, because of injuries and stuff, maybe he's not quite the player he was, and that's perfectly understandable. But I, made a comment that, I didn't need to be at the game because I'm not a Steph Curry fan. And he questioned, why am I not a Steph Curry fan? And I'm not a Steph Curry fan because I'm just generally not a big fan of players that just shoot the 3-point ball a lot. Like, I just, that's not my thing. I'm a fan of Dwayne Wade. I love Ja Morant's game. I love those types of players, and I'm not taking anything away from a Steph Curry. I mean, I even like Luka Doncic. He does shoot the three a lot, but he does a lot of other things I like. And again, I know Steph Curry, you're going to say, Steph Curry does a lot of other things too. And, I think that he does have a lot of other skills, but his go-to is that shot. He's the best. I'm not debating that, but he's just not my guy. Kawhi Leonard, another fantastic player. Amazing at what he does when he plays. But he's not my guy. And that's okay. Everybody does not have to like the same player. I think everybody should like Dwayne Wade because he is a two-way player. And he was dynamic. And he played hard. And he could make shots that you don't think should go in. But not everybody feels the way I do. That's me. Dwayne Wade is not every fan's favorite player. I get it. So those are a couple of my fan pet peeves that I've had some spirited debate with. And, hopefully I can have some more debates with people in the coming weeks, as I'm sure I always will. So little NBA talk. I was happy to see Kyrie and Ben Simmons return to the lineup. Well, Ben Simmons has been playing, but he, aside from, scoring points and so forth, I am impressed by Ben's kind of sense of humor through all this as they approached the Philly game. He had some, funny comments and things. And, there's like a meme going around when they ask him, do you think it's really going to be that bad? And he looked at them like, yeah, of course it is. It's Philly. It's going to be terrible. And then he also took to the stands before the game, and he was out signing autographs for, kids and stuff like that. And so I think that his attitude is shifting. I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that, Ben Simmons is going to come back, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, because they did just lose to a very depleted 76ers team the other night. Not to take anything away from Tobias Harris, who played very well, but the Nets should have won that game. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but I like what I see from Ben Simmons, and I like his attitude more than anything. Another big story has been, and I just touched on this with Steph Curry in the game that the Warriors had against the Rockets the other night. Now, I think Steph Curry put up about 33 points, and Klay Thompson had a 41-point game. And they still only beat the Rockets by 7. And I'm not going to take anything away from this Rockets team because even though they're young, I think they have a lot of good pieces. I don't know. I'm not sure what needs to change there, if it's going to be a coaching change or what have you. But, they only won by 7 points, and that's that's them. That's Clay and Curry playing the way that they are playing. Defense is the problem. And I'm not sure at what point it's going to click again on defense. I mean, obviously Clay was somebody that they used to rely on, but Clay hasn't been there for 2 years. So somebody else is going to have to step up. And they really have to pull it together if they're going to be, making a championship, a repeat run. I think Steve Kerr came out and said, maybe they have like one more, it might be one more year now, or maybe 2 more years. And maybe he said this to kind of get his team fired up on the defensive end, but they don't look good, from that perspective. And I think that they are, I'm not sure what they're ranked in the West, but it's not good. Anyway, I do want to circle back to the Rockets because, like I said, I think they do have a ton of potential. Right now, they're still probably last in the league. I know for sure in the Western Conference. But like I said, I am hopeful for them. I go to games. I enjoy them. I enjoy watching them play. There are still obviously some things that need to come along. But I'm not going to be down on the Rockets like I am down on the Houston Texans, because that's a whole other subject. But I do look forward to seeing them progress, but I do think some changes need to be made. It's early. I think we're less than 20 games into the regular season right now. Everybody likes to make their predictions and stuff, and almost like in the NFL, I don't want to compare it to the NFL season, which has been all over the place, as I've mentioned many times, and how strange it is. But I think it's at this point anybody's game. Of course, it's early, and we still have to worry about injuries that may come and things like that. There are no clear favorites right now. I really do feel like this is anybody's season at this point. I know before we start really talking about it, we have to get to All-Star break and see what goes on there. The last thing I want to touch on, of course, still sticking with my beloved NBA, is the Pat Beverly, DeAndre Ayton situation. The Lakers play the Suns. There was a incident. I won't even say like a fracas or anything, because it didn't really end up being that, as it hardly ever does. But Pat Beverly shoved DeAndre Ayton in the back as he was standing over, I've forgotten his first name. I want to say Trevor Reeves. Reeves? Okay. Not going to help me out there? Okay. No. But anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. After a play, DeAndre Ayton was standing over Reeves, and Patrick Beverly came up and he blatantly pushed Ayton, over. And, he's been getting a lot of backlash. I'm sure he will be suspended, but he was defending his teammate, because you have a player that is on the ground, your teammate that is on the ground, and you have this big man standing over him. Now, this big man was getting his ass busted by one Anthony Davis. So that's not the time to flex. Flex on Anthony Davis, okay? But you want to stand over this player who's on the ground, which, first of all, injuries are prominent. The floor is hard, and you're going to stand over him. So I understand we don't like to condone violence, but Patrick Beverly is that type of teammate that you need to have in your corner, because he's about that life, okay? To make jokes that he's the Black Air Force Ones of the NBA, but he is that player, and I think a lot of teams need that player. I mean, Draymond Green on the Warriors, you have an enforcer. Well, Patrick Beverly, the Otter, as we so called him in Houston, he's that guy. And he had every right to stand up for his teammate. And I'm glad that he did. Now, it does suck that he's going to have to pay fines and be suspended. But, you know, we're still early enough into the season where it's not going to make like a huge difference, and the Lakers aren't, you know, obviously great right now. Although there may be hope. I do see hope if Anthony Davis can keep playing the way that he's playing. It's very hopeful. Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. Like, I mean, there's some positive things happening here. I mean, there's even talks about Russell Westbrook possibly even being like a 6th man of the year, which would be awesome because MVP, you know, 6th man of the year. I mean, it's not a natural progression. You know, sometimes it happens the other way, but I like what I'm seeing. It is, you know, hopeful. But, you know, even Stephen A. Smith came out and said, you know, Patrick Beverly should be suspended. Okay, let's stop being soft. You know, we criticize the NBA. We criticize the refs for being soft. We criticize the game in general for being soft. Patrick Beverly is giving you like what you need. And again, I don't want to condone the violence, but, you know, I liked it. I'm going to be honest with you. So those are just my thoughts about that. And that's really all I have for you guys tonight. So definitely give me your thoughts, give me your comments. I'm sure you'll have them. And we will be back in 2 weeks. Happy birthday to me. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks in the Hot Seat with Holly Heat.